Howdy, Vine Trippers. I wanted to take just a moment before the show begins to tell you a little bit about the Texas Wine Lover website and app. It is a definite must-have for anyone wanting to explore the Texas wine industry. Now, they have a website. It's txwinelover.com, but they also have an app that you can actually download to your phone. You can find it on the Apple App Store or on the Google Play Store for Android devices. And it's going to be kind of your one-stop shop for when you go out to visit these great places. So you get to listen to them here on the podcast or watch them on YouTube to learn about these wineries. But when you go to visit, make sure you're checking out that app, because I'm sure you're probably going to want to visit other places in the area as well. And you can do incredible searches. It's the most comprehensive listing of winery information in Texas. And you can look for wineries in your area to go visit multiple places. You can sort those listings by finding out ones that are kid-friendly, maybe some that are pet-friendly. If you want to look for events or things that are going on, if you want to find those that can host RVs, just about any category you can think of, you can actually sort those listings and find wineries around you to go visit. The app is free to use for you and I. So it's a perfect, again, hand-in-hand tool when you're going out to visit wineries. Listen to them on this podcast, watch them on YouTube, and then start making your plans to go visit and use the Texas Wine Lover app when you go. Now, it can also be a great tool. Maybe you're not even looking for a winery. You just happen to be traveling to some place in Texas, and you just might think, I've got a little extra time. I wonder if there are any wineries in the area. You can actually look them up in the Texas Wine Lover app. You can search either by the name of a winery, or it's got a map view. So you can actually pull up a map of the area around you and see locations of wineries near you and go visit them and support the Texas wine industry. So you got to use the Texas Wine Lover app. It goes perfectly with this podcast. So make sure you check it out before you go on your next trip among the vines. Again, it's www.txwinelover.com, or look up the Texas Wine Lover app on your favorite phone app store and make sure you get that downloaded and use it frequently. You will benefit from it and ask for Texas wines. Let's see the Texas wine industry prosper and go visit some of these fun places that I'm bringing to you on the show. Texas Under Vine, an exploratory podcast to scout out the best Texas wine country has to offer. I'm your wine guide, Scott, and I'm here to lead you on an auditory expedition to the vineyards and wineries across the great Lone Star State. Each episode will cover a different vineyard, winery, or wine-related business operating in Texas. You'll hear interviews, descriptions, and details about each location that will excite you to visit and experience them for yourself. Ready to plan a wine tour? Use these episodes to choose the most interesting spots for you and your friends to check out. Most of all, enjoy hearing about the rapidly growing wine industry in the state and what makes our wines and wineries the best. Howdy, fellow Vine Tripper. Welcome to episode 65 for the Texas Under Vine podcast. And for this particular episode, I was able to actually wander down the road to probably one of the closer wineries to where I actually live. It's actually in Marble Falls. It is the winery called Flat Creek Estate. Now, this particular winery, although it wasn't there whenever I was a kid, ironically, it's actually just down the road from a place that I grew up going to summer camp every single year. So really crazy that it's so close to this place that I spent much of my childhood. The winery itself is actually it's off a little side road off of 1431, FM 1431, about halfway between Cedar Park and Marble Falls. The address is actually Marble Falls, but it's actually in that hill country area on the stretch there of 1431, or as some people like to call it, the Devil's Backbone, down on the north side of Lake Travis. And their winemaker, Olivier De Certaine, actually grew up in Lyon, France. Interestingly, his grandfather was actually in the winemaking business in his area of Beaujolais. So Olivier definitely has that winemaking heritage going through his blood. And although he grew up working in the vineyard and with his grandfather in wine-related tasks, he ended up setting his sights in a different pathway. He was a very big fan of science, so he went to school to study biotechnology. And the first part of his career was actually spent working in hospitals and research labs. Now, after a while of working in that particular career, he ended up getting a job, a chemistry type job, with a wine laboratory for a Burgundian producer. And that's where he really started to connect his love for science with the science behind all of the things that go into making wine. And it started building that passion inside of him. So he went to school to learn a little bit about winemaking. From there, he decided to go down and spend some time with a winemaker in Australia. So he went down under to learn some of his craft down with a producer there in Australia. And from there, he decided to come to the Texas Hill Country. His first job here was with Kuhlman Cellars, which is now called Kuhlman Estate. And from there, he ventured on to work at Untamed Estate. And from that point, he ended up becoming the winemaker at Flat Creek Estate. And that was back in 2022. So he's been there for about 2.5, almost 3 years now. The winery itself was actually started in 1996, so it's actually been there for quite some time. The first vineyard was planted on site in 1998, so some of the vines that are still there from that first planting have a lot of age to them. They've really matured. Now, this winery was actually one of the first to really introduce Italian varietals here into the Hill Country, as the owner at that time had spent some time in Italy and noticed that there was some similar terroir to the countryside there where those grapes were planted to what we had here in the Hill Country and what he had on his place there in Marble Falls. So he really felt like there was a good chance of success of those particular varietals thriving here in Central Texas as they did in Italy. The whole winery location is actually about 80 acres in size, and their vineyard is planted to about 17 acres under vine. Now, in that particular vineyard, they have Sangiovese, Pinot Grigio, Muscat Blanc, Syrah, Tempranillo, Montepulciano, Touriga Nacional, and Tinta Negra. And in addition to the vineyard and the winery itself, they also have on site a full restaurant where you can go in and enjoy some great food and great meals with your wine. They have a bridal suite. They're on site for people having weddings there at the winery. They even have an Airbnb that you can actually rent and stay at if you'd like to, right there on the property next to the winery. And get this is something I haven't seen with other wineries. They actually have a disc golf course on site that winds its way around the vines and the winery all the way around the property. Fun fact, the Professional Disc Golfers Association actually hosts tournaments at this particular disc golf course twice a year. It was designed by a professional disc golf professional. So I've heard, and as Olivier said in the interview, it's a little more challenging than some just regular run-of-the-mill disc golf course. But it is available for anyone who wants to go out and enjoy a little bit of disc golf around the winery and then sip on a glass of wine afterwards, or maybe even as you're throwing your discs if you're like me. Now, about 4 years ago, the winery was sold and it was purchased by Eva Horton and Neil Golden. And they are actually University of Texas alumni and real estate professionals. They own a large real estate company called Newmark. And when you go to the winery, they're going to have any kind of wine to fit your palate. Everything from whites to rosé to reds. They even have sweet if that's what you're looking for. So you're going to find most of anything you'd like to drink when you go there. And one of their most famous wines is actually called the Super Texan. It is actually a play on words of a famous wine style in Italy called the Super Tuscan. And so made kind of in a similar fashion. And it's so famous, it's actually been around for 20 years. They've actually trademarked that name, the Super Texan. And it consistently wins awards at many wine competitions throughout the years. And based on Eva and Neil's connections to the University of Texas as alumni, they have formed deep bonds with the university itself and some partnerships with the university for wine. As a matter of fact, before every UT football game in the fall, you'll be able to find the Flat Creek Wine Garden set up right in the area where they do all of the tailgating before the game, an area known as Bevo Boulevard. And in addition to that, they're even in the works with UT to provide a private label wine just for the university that is going to be a white and a red. You'll hear more about that in the interview. But it's going to be served at places like the Texas Performing Arts Center, the stadium during games, and things like that for UT events. So UT's official wine will be made there by Flat Creek Estate. And when I visited the winery, I was able to sit down in that on-site B&B that I mentioned a moment ago with their winemaker, Olivier De Certaine, and he filled me in on the great wines that they are making and providing there at Flat Creek Estate, as well as some of the history of the place and all these great amenities that they offer. So instead of hearing me babble on, let's go hear directly from Olivier. Howdy, Vine Trippers. I'm here at Flat Creek Estate, and I'm really excited to be joined by their winemaker, Olivier De Certaine. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the great stuff that they have going on here at the winery and kind of some of their history, as well as some of the things they're doing and the initiatives they have going on here. So I'm excited to tell you about them. But without further ado, let's turn to Olivier. So tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you started in the wine industry?
So, as you may have figured out by now, I am from France.
Okay.
I grew up in Lyon, France, where I was born and raised. My grandfather was a winemaker in Beaujolais. So
Really?
I grew up around wine, and I have childhood memories of going in a cellar, and drinking from the press, what we call the paradis, like the fresh pressed juice. And yeah, I guess it's in my genes somewhere. My grandfather sold his winery when I was about 12 years old.
Okay.
But I have a lot of family that still have wineries in Beaujolais as well, and friends. And it's always been a way to make money in the summer as a young kid, just go help and pick up grapes or shovel grapes or everything around it, and I always loved it. I've never thought it would be my profession in the future. What I loved in school was biology, chemistry, and all
Okay.
of that.
The
So
science of
the
things.
science of things.
Is
And
the wine industry very big in France? I hadn't heard much about it.
it's up and coming. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
we're making a name for ourselves.
Yeah, it'll make a mark at some point.
No,
you know,
yeah, we'll get
burgeoning.
there. I know the US is far, but we'll reach out to you at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I always liked it. But when I worked in wineries as a teenager, I was always like the grub. I was always like shoveling grapes, and I never really realized how much science is behind it. So I studied biotech. I have a college degree in biotechnology.
Okay.
I've worked in research lab. I've worked in hospitals, and which I loved studying biotechnology. I love studying biology. And then when I get to my job working in hospitals, being stuck inside under neon lights, yeah, it got old fast, and people die a lot in hospitals. It's was kind of a bummer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing blood samplings, all the other body fluids you can imagine. Yeah, I worked in parasitology too, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I never really knew. Yeah, getting a job there wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it would be.
Right.
And
You like the science and
I
all of
love the
that,
science.
but everything around that went with it wasn't
Yeah,
really.
and social security is a big part of that job in France. Yes, so paperwork, having people on the phone. It's yeah, not as interesting. And so I got a gig at a winemaking laboratory. So working for Laurent.
Chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry. So Laurent is a big negociant in Burgundy.
Okay.
They have bottles in HEBs. Like that's how big they are. So a massive winemaking laboratory. So I was analyzing wine all day long, and I realized all the science that's behind it, and
Yeah.
there's so much more to learn about it. So then I decided to study winemaking. So I took 1 year in Burgundy, France, to study winemaking. And then, having my knowledge in biochemistry was obviously very helpful.
Sure.
But my degree was with every horizons of people that would come and study. So it's a study that was made for adults that want to reconvert into winemaking. So I was the youngest of the class.
Yeah.
And I mean, one of the youngest. And I learned a lot about wine from those people because they had a passion for wine and I had a passion for biology.
There you go.
And so, I learned a lot from them. I learned a lot from the courses.
And I bet they learned a lot from you too.
Well, I hope.
Yeah.
Maybe, or maybe a little jealous.
From your science background that they didn't have. I'm sure they picked some things up.
Yeah, for sure. And that was super interesting. So after that, I wanted to travel, and I did 1 year in Australia, so close to Melbourne, Australia. And in Australia, I discovered the new world of winemaking, like a different way of making wine, which in France, everything is very traditional, of course. But in Australia, we would work with 15 different varieties and have a tasting room like we do in America. And the cellar was so beautiful, clean, like a laboratory with this huge glass window where the restaurant was behind. I just loved it.
Wow, cool. So people could see in on everything.
I know, coming from a chateau experience in France, people would be jealous of that. I was jealous of the other way around.
Right.
I wanted to keep traveling. After I would end up in California and landed in Texas.
Okay. So what brought you from California to Texas?
So I didn't go to California. I went to Texas straight away. I was looking to go out. So I was looking to go to America.
You were looking at California.
I was looking at California, obviously. And I've met a French winemaker, Benedict Wine, that was in France. She said, you want to work for me at Kuhlman Cellars in Texas.
Back when she was at Kuhlman.
Back when she was at Kuhlman's. And I worked for Kuhlman for 4 years.
Okay.
And get to know Texas, the state, which I realized Europeans have no idea what it's like.
Yeah. They have their own picture in their minds.
Yeah. It's not
cowboys.
It's not all cowboys and deserts and messes and guns. It also is.
Some of those things exist, sure.
It also is. But, discovering Central Texas, I felt like I was parachuted in a weird corner of Provence,
Oh,
right?
really?
So,
okay.
in terms of the climate, the vegetation.
Made you feel almost at home there.
Yeah, it was super interesting. And what I really liked was being part of this new growing wine industry. It's a very unique opportunity in the world, to be part of a growing wine region.
Okay.
And it was super interesting that way because we have to create everything here, and it takes decades to figure out the terroir, to figure out the grape varieties. And in Texas, we are still at the beginning of it, like truly. And so, that was 8 years ago.
Wow. It's interesting to have grown up in a place where wine is so traditional and everything has been done the same way for hundreds of years. And, you got all that stuff that we take for granted because we're really the Wild West, not just in the Wild West, but of wine. And as we're learning everything and you don't have those decades of tradition to guide you.
It is. It's freeing in some way.
Yeah.
Because the only rules in Texas is make good wine.
Okay.
That's what you get, like you can use whatever grape you want. You can use whatever technique you want. It doesn't matter, you'll get the appellation anyway because your grapes are grown here. But now the industry is trying to work their way on to figure out what works, what people like and all of that. And as still a scientifically based guy, I like that freedom because I can experiment. I can try things. And as long as the wine is good and as long as it's better next year, it all works out.
As long as you're building and you're getting better and better each time.
And in 8 years I've been in Texas, it's the thing I've seen the most. Like the growth of the quality of the wine has been outstanding. Because 8 years ago, I remember it was trying to figure it out. It was a lot of different wine, not that appealing, but I try to convert people in Texas, say, no, go back. They tell me Texas wine is not good. I was like, no, that was 10 years ago because the vines were young and because the winemakers were young and because we get to learn the terroir and give us another chance because you'll be amazed about the quality we can pull from the terroir out here.
Do you ever take a bunch of Texas wine back home to France, to
I
your
do.
friends and
Yep,
family, and say,
of
hey,
course.
see what we're doing here?
Of course. Yeah. I actually remember before my grandpa passed away,
Yes.
I brought him a bottle of Kuhlman Rosan. And yeah, he was so proud and so happy. And yeah, it's a tough sell in France. When you tell them you make wine in Texas, they're like, no, France is the best all the time. It was like, you need to go out there because
Yeah, at least try different things.
there is even in France, there's a war between regions. If you're from Beaujolais, if you're from Burgundy, Bordeaux tastes like sewage. And it's just we're very proud of where we're from in France.
Sure.
And yeah, everyone thinks French wine is the best without even ever trying anything else.
Right.
It's kind of the common things out there. Yeah, I like being in the US and see how open-minded people are about wine in general. You see people, yeah, they love Chilean wine, they love California, they love Virginia wine, which I tried for the first time recently, which I was really impressed with. And yeah, it's super interesting that way. There's my region is the best, and don't tell me otherwise.
Well, and I think it's interesting, although I'm partial to Texas wine because I love Texas, but to see different even regions here in the United States, Michigan, you can get wine, the Finger Lakes in New York, and just even other regions throughout the United States that are kind of popping up and starting to do wine is really interesting.
Yeah, it takes time and support, and I think we're kind of entering a modern era in wine that people are not so skeptical about AVAs. And I think it opens up like even techniques, you can get organic wines, you can get all that. People are very open-minded, what matters is what's in the glass in the end. And it's true that wine is a product that is so deeply rooted in the soil and the terroir, like the terroir has a huge impact on the way the wine tastes. That I'm from Beaujolais. When people tell me they don't like Beaujolais, I'm insulted. Like don't tell me that's my land. That's my country. And Texans are very proud of their land. Are very proud of their country. And to have all that community supporting Texas wine is really what made this region grow. Because it would be a tough sell, 20 years ago to sell Texas wine worldwide. But Texans believe in it. They're like, yeah, that's so fantastic that we're able to grow wine here. And through everyone's support and like hard work from winemakers and winery owners, now we are starting to make our place in the wine world.
Yeah. Well, what brought you from Kuhlman then to Flat Creek?
Opportunities.
Opportunities, I love it.
Kuhlman had a winemaker, and I wanted to grow and start making my own wine.
Yes.
So I moved to Untamed after that.
Okay.
Which was great. A lot of California fruits, which was very interesting, but also a lot of consulting and a lot of custom crush.
Okay, yeah.
So at Untamed, I got to work with Hill Country grapes, the Texas Highland grapes, and then a whole lot of California grapes.
Yeah.
Which was the longest harvest of my life, because started beginning of July, finished at the end of November. But that was super interesting. And
as soon as you finish one, you're thinking, here comes another batch coming in.
No, it was worse than that. It was like the tank space was limited. It's like we need to barrel down wine. Like we need to do like 3 jobs at once. But yeah, to be able to be with Dane, which is a South African, a trained winemaker, which I really get to realize that South Africa and France has a lot of winemaking techniques that are very similar. And the palate too. The way we taste the wine. I love his approach on winemaking. And to be able to work with top-notch California fruits was a treat.
Yeah.
It was pretty awesome.
Wow. And you got to see some differences there between the fruit, between California fruit versus the high plains and the hill country,
definitely.
And the terroir differences.
Yeah, terroir differences and overall juice, behavior and all that. But then from Untamed, I was still wanted to become a winemaker, of course. And so an ad for Flat Creek Estate. Okay. And met the new owners, Neil and Eva Golden. And they hired me. And the next day I was here. Was that? So that was the end of November of 2022.
Okay. So
right after harvest.
About 2.5 years that you've been here now?
2.5 years.
Okay. So you're getting your feet under you and you get 2 harvests in and...
2 harvests in. My reds are yet to be bottled, which I'm really excited about. But now on the menu, The whites and rosés are my babies.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've actually gotten to show your stuff there with those.
Definitely, yeah. And when I join in, there's still a lot of wine in barrel, so I get to do some blends and all of those wines. So from 2018 and forward, I at least made the blends. I call them my adoptive. Yeah, it's
the first ones to the market there as
the first
they
ones to
begun
the
coming
market.
out. Yeah. Cool. Well, let's talk about Flat Creek Estate for a moment then. We know how you got here and what you're doing here. Flat Creek's been around for a little bit. Tell me, and I know you're newer to the location, but what do you know about the history here? How did it get started and how long has it been here? And what's the story of Flat Creek?
So Flat Creek was created in 96.
1996, okay.
And they started planting the first vines in 98. Okay. So it was created by Rick neighbor, okay, and his wife. And they were like many winery investors in Texas, from the early industry, a passion for wine, wanted to create something out here. I'm really impressed by the location that they choose at Flat Creek. And we are still maybe the only winery out here. But so Rick was an engineer. And with his engineer mind, he engineered Flat Creek.
Okay.
And I like to put that forward because in the 90s, a lot of wineries were created by passion. And a lot of the knowledge was not out there yet. And, some people planted Chardonnay in Central Texas. You know what I mean? Just because they love Chardonnay. But Rick and Madeleine traveled to central Italy, Tuscany, and they saw I feel like I'm in Texas,
Yeah.
And there's why not create a winery in central Texas? So they were some of the first to plant Italian varietals. So we are in central Texas.
Really?
Like Sangiovese, Pinot Grigio, which do fantastic here. I really like the fact that they planted Pinot Grigio, for example, because it's the one planted because Pinot Grigio has a bit of a kind of tarnished reputation in the US because Italy flooded you guys with a bunch of cheap Pinot Grigio. And now in people's mind, Pinot Grigio is this cheap porch pounder. But Pinot Grigio was actually used in Champagne for the longest time. It's actually a French grape that has been
Pinot Gris
stolen from us. Yeah, Pinot Gris. But yeah, in Alsace, still use Pinot Grigio, and you can make high quality wine from Pinot Grigio, and especially in Texas. The people don't plant it enough because of the name. So it's kind of one of my job, change people's mind on it.
And if you've tasted a Pinot Gris from France and a Pinot Grigio from Italy, you can see just the different styles that can be made in such different. It's very flexible in the way you make that particular varietal.
Yeah, that's very true.
When you come out with it.
I mean, now in Italy, they have their own clones. So, we talk a lot about grape varieties for the common people, but when you're working wine, there is different clones.
Yeah.
For example, Chardonnay has more than 100 clones.
Yeah.
So at some point, you talk about Chardonnay, it's
what kind of Chardonnay?
What kind of Chardonnay? And using that Italian clone of Pinot Grigio in Texas, it's just for me works fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So he was planting. How many acres do you have?
So the whole property is 80 acres.
Okay.
But we have 17 acres.
17 estate. Okay. And what varietals do you have planted?
So we have the biggest one, Sangiovese, Pinot Grigio. We have Muscat Blanc.
Okay. Yeah.
We have Syrah as well, which is a rare gem in Central Texas. We have Tempranillo a little bit. We have Montepulciano, which I love. We have Touriga Nacional.
Oh, cool.
And Tinta Negra.
Okay, so a couple of Portuguese varieties.
Couple of Portuguese, Spain, Spanish. So a lot very targeted. Yeah, stuff of France, not on Italy.
Definitely kind of a little stretch of the globe right there.
Which was a really smart choice. And what I love about this estate is that Rick, with his engineer mind, figure out the right place to plant each variety.
Okay.
And the inclination, all of that, which I feel like a lot of people in the 90s had land. They wanted a winery. Let's make it look pretty.
Yeah.
Instead of being what's the story?
What's the smart thing for
what's the smart thing to do? And which is normal. It's organic. Nowadays Texas vineyards are the understanding of the terroir has grown so much since then. So nowadays people are doing those smart choices, but Rick actually did those in the 90s.
Okay. He's ahead of his time.
Yeah, I think so. And choosing the right rootstock as well, very important to grow your vines. And our estate has something a little special, and I think not many people in Central Texas have, is our proximity to a river. We are next to Lake Travis, which is really the Colorado River.
Yeah.
And when you look at a map of France, you see all the best wine regions are nestled next to a river. And there's a few reasons for that. It's first, airflow. When you're on a riverbed, everything funnels, all the winds funnels, brings a good airflow, which with crazy Mother Nature in Texas is super useful because we get bad weather here, out of nowhere. The thing is you don't want the bad weather to stay on your vineyard. I'm talking hail, I'm talking freeze, which is all the challenges that we get here in Texas. And every time, last year we had a terrible hailstorm here in Central Texas, devastating. And I was anxiously looking at the radar, and I would see that pink cloud, as soon as it hits the lake, gets sucked in and pushed away.
Really?
And we had no damage whatsoever. I was stressful, but just seeing it on the map, getting all that dark cloud coming, just getting sucked out, was show me we have something very unique out here.
Interesting.
The second component will be for the soil profile, because we're on a riverbed. Erosion reveals different kind of soil profile.
Okay.
So soil stagnates, pile up with each other over time. When you have a river that shows up, starts to reveal all those layers and expose them. So even on our 80-acre property, on the very top where you enter, we have a lot of limestone, of course, the limestone rock.
Yeah.
When you go down towards the bottom of it, we have a very clay-rich soil.
The alluvial soils.
The alluvial soil, and clay really good to retain water, helps us through the tough summer. And then on the other bank back there, where all our white wine is planted, a lot of sand.
Okay.
Sand, really good for drainage, good drainage, perfect for white wine. And it helps us make crisp, vibrant white wine. And we did that, It was
all
from
those
the oil
years ago.
industry. Yeah, get a shovel, dig around.
Yeah.
What will work well best. And for me, that gives us a huge leg up, because nowadays we have a 30-year-old vineyard, well-established vines, and age is key to make quality wines, of course. And also having the right plants at the right place.
Yeah. You've got over 25, 26-year-old vines out there.
Yeah. Which are doing fantastic.
I've talked to so many vineyards and wineries who did that thing. When they first started, they're like, well, we didn't know what we're doing, so we just put some test stuff out here.
Yeah.
Of course, we pulled all that up, and now I replanted this. And
exactly,
this.
Yeah.
But Rick thought so much ahead of time that didn't have to happen. He
did, and I don't know how much help he got there, but
or maybe it was a happy accident, but he got it right.
I'm sure it was no accidents, but he did get it right. And when, in the 90s, people were planting, like you say, experimental stuff, let's plant everything, see what grows.
See what goes.
But then 20 years down the line, what do you do with that? Because each, it's something for your audience to understand, is each grape variety is its own beast, It's like dog breeds, like a Chihuahua and a Bulldog, completely different animals, in terms of behavior, in terms of feed, health, all of it. And it's the same thing for vines. Tempranillo and Pinot Grigio react very, very differently. And if you plant all of them next to each other's, then when do you harvest? When do you pick them? Like, you pick all at once, so nothing's going to be right. Do you spray them all the same, but then nothing's going to be right? Do you water them the same?
Yeah.
It makes it so much more difficult.
I got you.
And I understand the why they did it.
Uh-huh.
But I think it would have been a better gamble to try one.
Yeah.
And see how it does. And if it fails, then fine. But at least we can do something with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it does take, you have some that are going to flower earlier than others and be readier. You got to do multiple harvests at different times through different things.
Which is, technically impossible. Like, it was just such a headache. And then what do you do with 3 rows of one grape? Like, you have like 2 bins, How do you feed it in a press? How do you feed it into a wine program? It's difficult.
Yeah.
It's difficult. But kudos to Rick.
So he got that started in 96 and planted in 98. And I presume built the production facility and a tasting room.
Slowly by slowly, yes. We started with, I'll give you a tour later.
Yeah.
we had this really cute, what we call the troopers den, this little cute little huts, like in the middle of the winery now. And with the old winery next to it, that's how it started. And then I believe in '03, they started building the tasting room and the bigger cellar.
Okay.
And then our restaurant as well.
Okay.
And then I think the pavilion came a little later.
Yeah. Well, and there's a bridal suite next door for, I guess, for when you'll host weddings and things like that. This is we're actually coming to you from an Airbnb that they have here on site where you can actually stay here at the winery. I wish the sunlight was coming in too much through the windows, but I wish you could see the background back here. Beautiful vines along the hillsides, just gorgeous view out here. Beautiful, beautiful winery at this location.
Yeah, it's also show how special our estate is. You know, it's to have this diversity in trees and vegetation. And, you know, I have a lot of people coming here say, I don't even feel like I'm in Texas anymore.
Yeah.
Like which is weird because it's definitely very Texas for me, but for me in Texas, when you have access to water, then nature thrives and explodes. And so, yeah, we have these beautiful grounds. We are about an hour from downtown Austin. And yeah, when you have people that are doubtful about Texas, you know, just bring them here, you know, they'll be amazed. And,
Yes.
and the whole property is welcome to walk around. You know, we also have a disc golf on the property, which is weird. Like, I know nothing about disc golf, so yeah, tell me. But so it was designed by a famous disc golfer.
Okay.
It's actually part of the PGA of disc golf in the region. So twice a year we have this big competition that shows up.
Really?
Disc golf is niche, but
Oh yeah. I played. It's fun here and there.
fun,
But
yeah. But so
didn't know they had
the
a
course was
organization.
designed by this professional disc golfer, like famous.
Really? Wow.
I don't know what a famous disc golfer is, but some people would know.
The disc golf open.
And I've been told by disc golfer it's the most challenging course in the whole of Austin area. So it's made for pros. So, but yeah, but even if you don't disc golf, you're welcome to just cruise along, walk around. We have picnic tables everywhere. You know, get your glass get your bottle in the ice buckets and go hang out. You know.
Well, you know, there's a lot of different regions of Texas, and they're different. If you go to North Texas, you know, you get more of the plains there. You go to East Texas and the big tall trees and the thickets and things like that, the Gulf Coast region, and then the West Texas with the deserts and the mountains, things out there. But Texas is known, especially for wine country here, as the hill country. And the hill country in the central part of Texas here, it's a tourist area. People want to come to the hill country and see what it's all about. To me, this is a microcosm of what the hill country is.
It is.
I mean, it is gorgeous out here with the trees, the hills, the lake just down the way. I mean, this is the epic of what I think people think of as the hill country of Texas.
Oh, I agree. I mean, it's it's a very nice workspace. You know, like yeah, some people are stuck on the online all day, and I'm here, you know, having my lunch under the shade of an old oak tree, you know, like looking at the ponds and the ducks and nature, and it's special.
Beats those fluorescent lights in the hospital corridors, huh? When you were doing that,
it does. It definitely does.
Definitely different. Well, you mentioned a moment ago new owners, so I take it Rick apparently doesn't still own or isn't around anymore. So what's kind of the history of the ownership there?
Rick is around. He's been promoted.
Hey.
He's been promoted to customer.
Oh,
He's a customer. Yeah.
Love it.
They live nearby. They pop up all the time, and every time I have great conversations with them. It's just, you know, like having a winery is not all fun and games. It's a commitment. It's tough. It's a business. It is difficult. And they sold the winery about 4 years ago. So the new owners are Eva and Neil. So Eva Horton and Neil Golden. Okay. They are UT alumni. Okay. They live in Texas for a long time, but they own a real estate company, a very famous real estate company from New York called New York, a very successful real estate company. And they moved to the Hollows a couple of years ago, and they came here as customers. Okay. And they were enjoying a glass of wine, get to talk with Rick and Madeline. And they left home, like, should we buy this place? You know, like the property is so beautiful. They just love it.
They fell in love with it.
They fell in love with it. And now they're behind everything. We have more investors, of course, that join in. They have big plans for this winery. Yeah, they're really
4 years ago.
That was 4 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, we're about halfway between, I would say, Austin and Marble Falls on 1431. So you're right there to the gateway into the hill country for the wine road, but you've also got this proximity to Austin. But yeah, it's the only little spot, this little pocket right here in this area.
And that is a blessing and a curse.
Sure.
Because, we don't get the traffic that Fredericksburg would get.
Sure.
So when people come here, they come here. But it's also what makes this winery so different than many others is we're not here for a wine shot, we're not made for people to come. Because, when you work in a hill country with the traffic, you need a fast pace. You need them to come, taste, buy a bottle, and then go to the next winery. They won't admit it. But
get that shop
no one's going to admit it, but it's really what's going on here. It makes sense. It makes sense. But here we want to keep people.
It's a destination.
It's a destination. So when people come here, they usually spend 4 or 5 hours with us. And this is why the winery has those different vibes. So we have the tasting room. So when you come to the tasting room, you get to do the wine flights, you get to talk with our wine ambassador, you get to learn more about the wine. But we also have a restaurant. So you can come have lunch, you can come and have dinner. It's a seated restaurant, full menu. We're famous for our pizzas, but we have a full menu as well. And, you can have lunch, hang out. It's a beautiful place too. I'll show it to you later. It's very cozy. And then we have our pavilion, like a big outdoor patio where we have live music every weekend. And this is more for a casual bottle of wine or a glass of wine. And, of course, your kids are going to run around in the field and your dogs love it as well. Like we are very welcoming. So yeah, if your vibe is more casual, just here for a glass of wine, pavilion is perfect. If you're really here to do a tasting, we have a tasting room. So what most people do is they start in the tasting room, then they go have lunch, and then they go hang out with the bottle of wine they like the most on the pavilion. So that's how we manage to keep people the whole afternoon.
So tell me about the name Flat Creek Estate. Do you know where that came from?
Yeah. The Flat Creek is actually a little creek that runs behind the property. That's called Flat Creek.
So there's a tributary from the Colorado.
Yeah, it just goes down. It just goes behind. It goes just down.
Okay.
Back to the Colorado. It was winery created in the 90s. Like every winery created in the 90s was Creek something. So they chose Flat Creek.
Again, it makes sense because of the proximity there.
So not be confused with Fall Creek, which we love, but we get a lot of people saying, is this Fall Creek? And I'm sure Fall Creek gets a lot of people, just Flat Creek.
Different creek.
Different creek. Yeah, not like just one letter away. But
well, let's talk about your fruit for your wine. So you got 17 acres here.
Yeah.
Do you source outside from other places, or do you do everything estate-based?
So we used to source for the longest time from the high plains.
Okay.
Of course, when Neil and Madeleine went to sell the winery, they put a hand to those contracts. When I joined here as a winemaker, I had a lot of wine in storage. I needed a lot. So I didn't feel like the need to buy so much fruit at this point. I just wanted to focus on my estate, get to know that first. But now, I'm looking to get fruit from the high plains again.
Okay. It helps to supplement, especially if there's weather or things like that.
Definitely. Yeah. And getting fruit from the high plains, I plant fruit for a long time. There are some very specific wine growers I would love to work with.
Yeah.
Just got a phone call yesterday from one of them. So I'm excited,
And it gives you a chance to work with other varietals, maybe that, experiment with some things that maybe you don't have planted here yourself.
It does. Flat Creek had Cabernet Sauvignon for the longest time from the high plains. And now I've used the last of my Cabernet Sauvignon in my latest blend. So now I'm going to need more.
One of those adopted ones?
Yeah. And we don't grow it here. So I would love to get my hand on some of that.
Gotcha. And then you make, I'm sure, some estate varietals and things directly from the estate.
Oh yeah, most of it actually. The Sangiovese. I do, in the white, I do a Muscat Blanc.
Oh, okay.
Which is the only wine I make sweet out here.
Okay.
I make it French sweet, of course.
Yeah.
Very sensitive to sugar. And for me...
so more off dry.
More off dry, balanced with a nice acidity, crisp acidity. I love Muscat Blanc because it's reliable. Muscat Blanc always tastes good. There's exotic fruits.
Yeah, you get those orange notes and the other things to it.
Orange note, if you let it ripe a little more. I like it more on the lower side of the bricks, keep like a brighter taste, more of a lychee, mango, pineapple kind of taste.
Okay.
And I sweeten it with grape juice. I don't add sugar to my wine. I add grape juice, which for me the sweetness blends in so well into the wine. So weirdly enough,
you ferment it to dry, but then add grape juice in to sweeten it a little bit.
To sweeten it a little bit. And I had people coming here saying they despise sweet wine and love it. And actually leave home with bottles of it. So for me it's all about balance. Then we have Pinot Grigio that I make. Again, on my Pinot Grigio, I use my my Burgundy knowledge a little bit. I make my Pinot Grigio, I barrel ferment my Pinot Grigio.
Okay.
But I use neutral French oak. So the barrel has been used before. I don't want to make an oaky Pinot Grigio, definitely not. I make about half of it in those barrels to give it texture, to give it volume. And then I do the other half in stainless steel. That stainless steel is going to keep it vibrant, it's going to keep it acidic, and then blend the two together. And now I get the mouthfeel from the barrel. And I still get the bright acidity from the stainless steel, and they have a nice balance. Crisp Pinot Grigio that still has volume to it, not a porch pounder. Actually a wine that holds up very well in food and wine pairing. There's like good length on the palates. Very rich foods. Then I do what is actually became my favorite and everyone's favorite white wine we have on the estate, which is our Palomino. So it is a blend of the three whites we have on the estate, which are Pinot Grigio, Muscat Blanc, and Pinot Blanc. We have a little Pinot Blanc here. I blend those three together, and it's very unique to us because I've looked online, I've looked everywhere. No one else mixed those grapes together.
I don't even if I've talked to anybody that's planting Pinot Blanc. So
and even Pinot Blanc is not really popular here in Texas. It actually brings a nice crisp edge to the wine, which I really like. And so on this wine, I do 80% in barrel. Just give it a full volume, full body. But again, I want something crisp. And it is Texas. You
got to maintain that acidity.
It is hot outside. I can maintain that acidity. And to have those vines planted on the fast draining sandy soil, I get to harvest them at the early July, which the growth season is just when the weather is the best in Texas. And I think I make something truly exceptional out of that wine. So we just released it to our club members a couple months ago. Now it's up for the public. Everyone wants it.
Do you process all those here on site?
Everything on site.
Okay.
Actually, it's also something I adjusted here in Texas is we're harvesting at night. So we're getting people, professionals that we start at 10 p.m. usually, finish at 4 a.m. For me, harvesting at night is going to be key for Texas in the future. I think I'm really surprised if in 10 years, not everyone does that. It is more work. It is more work for us, but being at night really helps for first the people that are harvesting. They're going to be much more efficient because as soon as you pick up those clusters from the vine, it's a ticking time bomb before you process it. Oxidation, big issue in Texas.
And the heat.
And the heat, when we harvest, we put the clusters into a bucket. There's always some juice at the bottom of the bucket. The juice warms up, and now we have a petri dish for any bacteria that you don't
whatever yeasts and everything.
Yeast and bacteria mostly. Those acetic bacteria can get in there quite fast. So harvesting at night much more efficient. So the bucket doesn't stagnate for too long. Gets in the bucket, gets in the cellar, gets in the EFC quite as fast. And the people, don't require a water break every 5 minutes.
Do you hand harvest or machine
hand harvested?
Okay.
Everything hand harvested. And for me, that really helped me making higher quality juice here in Texas.
Well, what are some of your favorite wines as a winemaker? What are some of your favorite wines to make?
When everything goes great.
Anything as long as it's going well.
Favorite wines to make. The Pinot Grigio has been a lot of fun, honestly. That was my first time working with Pinot Grigio in Texas.
That's it.
And I find it to be really appealing because, again, harvest very soon. I can get the bricks that I want. I can get the total acidity that I want. It's super helpful. There's no worry of crazy wind, hailstorm, whatever happens in Texas in summer. Pinot Grigio has been super interesting for me, and yeah, that's been really nice. And then my Sangiovese, of course. I've worked with Sangiovese from the start the start of my work in Texas. I feel like Sangiovese has been consistently great to grow in Texas. And it produced this delicate, extremely fruity red wine out here, which I love. I'm a Beaujolais guy. I grew up eating Beaujolais and Burgundy wines. My palate is quite tender. I cannot handle too much alcohol, too much tannin structure, too much oak and all of that.
Yeah.
And in summer in Texas, when I'm looking for red wine, I don't want something bold and intense. And especially with the food that we have here in Texas, a lot of Mexican influence, a lot of spice in the food out here. You cannot do spice with tannins.
Yeah.
That's
Or
not
that
the
high
same-
alcohol.
It's an explosive combo on the palate. To have this super fruity, delicate, smooth red wine paired with Mexican food, I just love it. So yeah, those are usually my favorites.
All right. And then what are some of the favorite wines with customers? What are the ones that kind of fly off the shelf?
So customers, I'm really proud of that. It's going to be my new rosé that I made. So Flat Creek used to make sweet rosé, which I'm not crazy about sweet rosé. For me, rosé is a thirst wine. It's a before dinner kind of wine. In aperitif, in France, we are huge on rosé, of course. I find a lot of similarity again with the way with France and Texas. We like to get together before a meal. We like to play games. We like to hang. Having a nice crisp rosé is just awesome.
Yeah.
So I make this rosé with Sangiovese, and then I add a little bit of Muscat Blanc in it. So the Muscat Blanc bring all those floral components on the nose, bring like a nice, like exotic, fruity, lots of aromatics. And I also do my rosé in barrels.
Okay.
Which no one does.
Yeah.
It's tricky because the rosé is very hard to make, winemaking wise. Rosé is very sensitive to oxidation. You have to do that skin contact just right to get the right color. It's always a trouble child.
Yeah.
Always a trouble child. And then it's supposed to be cheap.
Yeah.
It doesn't
It's a lot
work.
of work, right?
It's supposed to be, it's a lot of work and it's supposed to be a cheap wine.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of average rosé on the market
Yeah.
for that reason. A lot of people are going to be tempted to use their very young vines to make rosé with them because it's not going to make a good red.
Yeah.
Might as well make a rosé with them. We're just going to dump sugar in it.
Yeah.
And
It's always a second thought.
It's
never
a bit of a
the
second
center,
thought
Yeah.
for those reasons because it's hard to make great rosé. Me, I believe in making great rosé in Texas. I got that from Benedict, of course.
Yeah.
Because she's the master. Yeah,
Okay.
she's the master craft of rosé in Texas, for sure. But I do that barrel fermentation because you're really gonna help smooth out some of the bitter notes of rosé. Those bitter notes that happens once you drink the wine, and then you let it hang and get those like bitterness. So I do 40% of it in barrel, neutral barrel, not oak.
Yeah, sure.
Don't want any oak in my
No,
rosé.
not at all.
But it gives it that texture that makes it so candy-like, like it's so easy to drink. And I made a very dangerous rosé, it's hard to not kill the bottle by yourself, which is exactly what you want a good rosé to be. So that has been a huge success, flies off the shelf as soon as it gets warm. And then the big one is, of course, our Super Texan.
Okay.
So for your audience, the people that know Flat Creek,
Play on the Super Tuscan name.
play
I
on the
guess.
Super Tuscan name. People that know Flat Creek because of the Super Texan.
Okay.
The Super Texan is a blend we've been making for more than 20 years.
Wow.
It's a trademarked name, by the way. They snatched that one. 20 years ago, we won Best Texas Wine with that blend in 2010. And there was a cult following behind that wine.
Yeah.
Which, no pressure for a new winemaker, go out there, make a Super Texan, make the magic of those shoes. Yeah, so Super Texan is always a Sangiovese-based blend.
Okay.
The Super Texan is a very balanced red wine. It's the best way for me to describe it because it's not a light red, it's not a bold red. It's like it hits right in the middle. It has a light tannin structure. It's extremely fruity on the nose. It's very easy drinking. It's very easy to pair with a lot of food. Like the range of food you can pair with this wine is awesome. So it's a great wine to have in your cabinet because when you don't know what to drink,
Yeah.
Super Texan's there for
It's
you.
good. It's your fits-all thing.
It fits all things. And I have a lot of people that come here, they say, oh, I don't like red wine, because the red wine in our mind is Cabernet Sauvignon from California, or it's going to be a Merlot or something like a little more intense. But then they get to love Super Texan because it's so pleasing, it's so easy to drink. And even the red wine drinker love it.
Yeah.
So my first Super Texan is going to be the 2019 vintage. So again, I made the blend, Adoptive Child, but we just won the double gold medal in San Francisco, which is
that's the king there.
Incredible. Yeah, for sure. So double gold medal means, so usually you get the gold medal when the average note of all the judges reach a gold medal. You get a double gold when they all agree on
unanimous,
the gold medal.
right?
Unanimous. So yeah, pretty incredible to manage to do that. And yeah.
Are there any, as a winemaker, any varietals that you haven't had a chance to work with yet that you kind of always wanted? I've always wanted to experiment with this or try this particular varietal.
Oh God, yeah, all of them.
Every one of them.
Actually, I mean, it's kind of sad because it's not going to happen in Texas. But because I was Burgundy trained, Pinot Noir and Chardonnay and Gamay are the three I would really like to work with.
Yeah.
But those would not do well in Texas. Like it's not gonna happen. Those are my three ones.
Well, we've talked about the fruit and the wines and things and the location here. Let's talk about some of those great events and activities and things y'all do here. I know you mentioned earlier the pavilion where you do live music on the weekends. I know we talked a little bit about the bridal suite. Y'all do weddings and things here. Do y'all do other types of activities or events here on the property?
Yeah, we open, when people come to us, they want to have an event here. We have the space, so we might as well share it.
Yeah.
But yeah, every time there is a special, like Easter, or there is Mother's Day, which was super successful last week. It was packed.
Okay.
We always try to create something. So for example, for Mother's Days, we did a very special little food and wine pairing for the mothers. So you had this assortment of little sandwiches and treats and candy.
Little small bites.
Little small bites to pair with 4 wines. We do, wedding, of course, like on the smaller scale, but we can host weddings.
Yeah.
And every events around the year. But for me, the best ones are going to be our club party. Okay, so we have a wine club here.
Oh, tell me about it.
So we have a 3-bottle, 6-bottle, 12-bottle club, of course, like
The
everyone.
standards.
The standards. You get to choose if you want an assorted shipment, if you want just white, or if you want just red.
Okay.
The good thing is you can choose what you want.
Okay.
So we,
That's a
of
big
course,
advantage.
suggest something.
Sure.
And then if you want to switch something, so you want more Palomino, get more Palomino. Well, we can do that for you.
Okay.
But yeah, the getting this new property, of course, we inherited a club, which was quite crazy. We had like 12 different kind of memberships, and this golf had a huge impact on that.
Oh, wow.
So we had a lot of work to do on that.
Yeah.
So as of this winter, we revamped our club.
Okay.
And simplify things and make it better,
Yeah.
So what we're doing for our club members is going to be exclusive wines. So they get first dips on the wines. The last shipment, they get access to our 2020 Montepulciano, which in my very biased opinion is maybe the best wine Flat Creek has ever made.
Really?
The thing is, we only had 80 cases of it.
Okay, so it's a limited.
Yeah, I didn't want to blend it because it was so fantastic. But so it went to our club members. Our club members got exclusivity and we sold that day. Like, it's gone. Yeah. So you missed that, but we'll do it next year. We'll do it next year again. And all the new releases are going to go to the club first. And then in the next few months for the rest of the people.
Okay.
And we start doing fun club parties, So we have bands coming to play. Because we're so close to Austin, we have these huge resources of amazing bands.
Yeah, artists and things.
They come and play, and we do food and wine pairing with all the new wines.
Okay.
And we're using our whole property. Most people come here, they go to the restaurant, to the pavilion, to the tasting room. But our club members, we took them down there in the meadow.
Yeah.
So it's like shaded by the tree, it was like very like picnic style. And it was fantastic here.
It's awesome.
So our club events, I think, is something to look forward to at this point. Also, every month I do a Winemaker dinner.
Okay.
So this is when the chef and I get to go off menu, create dishes to match the wine. So the whole point of the dinner is to do a food and wine pairing. So chef comes up, I come up with a wine, then chef comes up with a menu, then we do the menu, we taste the wine together, and we adjust and fine tune the food to match the wine.
Okay.
So I do that every first Thursday of every month, except not during harvest.
Right.
I'm a little swamped.
Take a little
there.
pause.
Yeah, I'll take a little pause, but we have one coming up in June. And it's very precious. This is the dinner where we get a lot of the local community because it's a bit of a food desert on this side of the lake. There's great restaurants that keep opening.
Yeah.
That's awesome. But to have something like elevated, high-end, we are kind of the only ones. So if you live in the area, it's time to come, and it's very chill, shared table with everyone.
Yeah.
And we get the neighbors come every month. They come every month.
I like that. So let's talk about what the experience is like for a listener. So a listener watcher now is getting excited. They want to come out and check out Flat Creek. So what does it look like if they come in for a tasting? So if somebody wanted to come in to do a tasting of wines, what do they get to pick their wines? Is it a set flight of wines? How much does it cost? Things like that, the details on that.
So if you come for a tasting, we have a set flight of wine. But you get to choose between our assorted pairing, which has a white or rosé and then two reds.
Okay.
Or you can do the white wine, or you can do the red wine.
Okay.
So we like to rotate between those.
Which ones are on those ones? Yeah.
Of course, depends how busy we are. But if you come and you say, "Oh, I absolutely love Syrah," no one's gonna tell you that you can't have a Syrah. We'll pour you some Syrah. The flight is $30.
Okay.
And you get to sit down, and one of our wine ambassadors do a guided tasting. So they're really going to help you understand where the fruit is from, the terroir, the way it tastes, what it pairs with, and all that.
Yeah. Do they need reservations for that?
Well, I mean, like every winery, yes, you absolutely need reservation, but no, you can show up. It gets a little more complicated, like days like last Sunday when we have Mother's Days.
Yeah.
It's get a little trickier, but most of the time you can show up without a reservation, and we'll accommodate.
You take walk-ins, but reservations are always helpful.
It is always
helpful.
helpful.
People can do that.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you want something special, like if you bring family, if you need a big table, if you need a big group, if you bring more than 4 or 5 people, having a reservation will be helpful because we'll have a table ready for you. And also, we like to place our reservation at the nicest spots in the vineyard.
There you go.
Yeah, you get a nice table. We have those big couch. So again, we want to keep our customers here, so we make them comfortable.
Okay.
So we have very comfortable seating areas. With little fire pits or umbrellas, fans. They're not all equal, but if you have a reservation, of course, we'll place you on the best spot possible.
So if you want a great spot, make sure you make your reservation.
Make a reservation,
They're take care of you. And I would think this being kind of a destination spot, since there's not any other real places out here, it wouldn't be hard. I mean, we know we're coming there. We know what time we're going to, whereas if you're on the wine road, you may not know when you're going to be at different wineries. I think it's easy to make a reservation for that. So can they do that on the website?
They can, yes. The website has the option, including our winemaker dinners. Something I didn't mention. I do winery tours.
Okay, tours.
Which is it's a very unique thing. Actually, I have one coming this afternoon. So I do twice a month, every first and third Saturday of each month. I do full winery and vineyard tour. So I take people in the vineyard, then in the winery, then in the barrel room. We get to taste wine from the barrels. I teach people about wine aging. What do we age wine in barrels? Why do we go through all these crazy things that we're doing here? And then we finish in my laboratory. So I have my own laboratory here. I get to show people wine under the microscope, introduce the bacteria and the yeast that works with me to make wine. So if you're curious, about how to make wine, book that tour.
Led by the winemaker
Led
himself,
by the winemaker, yeah. And there's a lot of wine during the trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, we drink. It's fun.
You already mentioned a moment ago about dogs and things like that. So I presume you're pet friendly, family friendly if people have kids, things like that.
Family friendly, absolutely. Especially with our restaurants and pizza menu. And If you have like soda, we have soft drinks available.
Okay.
You see, especially on the pavilion, in the tasting room a little less because the kids get bored really fast in the tasting room. But the pavilion's perfect for it because you can sit down with your family. And then we have 80 acres of fenced property. So, like kids, I'll see you later, like go around.
Watch for snakes.
Yeah. Watch for snakes. Yeah. And dogs friendly, of course. The owner's Eva has a giant dog, that's always there. I have my little dog that's always there. So we have treats for them too. Treat tasting. No.
So on the property itself, as can wander around, so they can just kind of go wherever they want.
Absolutely.
And enjoy their time here.
Yeah, and because we have the disc golf, everything is mapped, everything is passed. People can just walk around and do their own thing. It's possible.
Food options, you mentioned, we know we have the restaurant there. Are there food options in the tasting room, like small bites or things like that? Or do they need to go to the restaurant for food?
So in the tasting room, we do charcuterie board, dips, like snacky food, mostly.
Can people bring their own food? Or do they want to do that here? Okay, so don't bring your own food.
Don't bring your own food.
Yeah, you got plenty
We
of
have
food
plenty of food, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
But we have pizza, burgers, we have all the easy food in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And the pavilion is open for food too, so you can have a pizza on the pavilion and the restaurant. Tasting room, charcuterie board, basically, yeah.
Do you have the maximum group sizes?
Everything is negotiable, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
As long as they communicate and make
as long as they
reservations.
communicate, we can accommodate. We have a port room. We have a little private room that people can rent, which can host maybe 20 people. So you can have your own private space.
Okay.
But we've done, last winter we've done a frat party.
Oh, wow.
At the winery, UT frat party that came. There's like 300 kids.
Wow.
Partying out here. Yeah, it was wild, but
Was he doing barrel stands on the?
Oh, I hope not. I wasn't
Barrels?
there, but no. They did the tasting, so we had like arranged a tent for them to taste the wine, and then we had our bar and they had their bar. But but that's to me, like we can arrange stuff.
Yeah. What are your busier and slower seasons? What's the best time to come visit?
It's kind of because the best time to come visit is when it's the busiest.
It's subjective, right?
Yeah. But usually, September, October are lovely, and April, May. This month has been awesome until 2 days ago. Yeah,
heat wave coming through.
Heat wave coming through. But even in the heat, we have umbrellas, we have fans. We don't let you bake out there.
Well, and I would say, like you said, being close to the water, the cooler air flowing through probably causes it.
I think there's something to it for sure. And the shade of the tree, to not have just tiny oaks.
Yeah.
We have like big trees, so you can get
one places to hang on the shade. What about distribution? So let's say that a customer wants to taste your wines, but for whatever reason, they can't get here. They live in a different part of the state or whatever, but they're really anxious to try things. Are there ways that they can try your wines without coming to the winery itself?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was actually the biggest change that Neil and Eva brought to the winery is when I said they have a big vision for this winery, like they really mean it, So we have our wines in HEBs. So we get a partnership with HEB. So HEB gets Super Texan, Far Horseman, Botero, Pinot Grigio. Depends on the HEB, of course. And they're going to get Palomino shortly. So most HEBs around Austin area have them. San Antonio does, Houston as well. We also distribute in Florida, Connecticut sometime soon.
Wow.
Colorado.
Really?
And we're getting there.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we have a partnership with UT.
Okay.
So because our owners are very close with the UT, they really wanted to create something together. So now we are the wine of UT. So if you want to go to a UT game next season, you'll find us out there at the tailgate party.
Okay.
We have
on Bevo Boulevard?
Exactly, on Bevo Boulevard. We have our own little Flat Creek wine garden, which is set up with umbrella, chairs, table, bar, so you can enjoy a glass of Flat Creek wine before, do it fancy at the tailgate. I'm creating a private label for UT as well. So they're going to have their own wine made by me, made by Flat Creek, in the Texas Performing Arts Center.
And
it'll be a white and a red wine.
And a red, okay.
And in the stadiums, in the lodges. And so, we're creating a partnership with them, which has been super exciting.
A little private label wine there.
Private label. And on top of that, they're going to carry our wine. So I make a private label for them, but they're also going to have the rest of the Flat Creek wines.
So the official wine of UT and the private label there will be Texas-based wines.
It will be.
What was it? The white and the red, are they both Texas-based?
So the white will be 100% estate made. For the red, I imported some wine from France, actually.
Oh, some French wine.
Yeah, I get them. I find them a little Malbec Merlot from France that have been aging here. And then I get to be with their head of the food and beverage, who actually help me like fine tune the wine just for their taste. So,
wow.
Maybe down the line we'll make Texas wine for them, of course.
You got that entry level there, and your Texas wine is definitely a white wine.
But the white, the white is a Muscat Blanc, Pinot Grigio. Stainless steel fermented right from the estate. I kept it nice and crisp and refreshing, which is ideal when you sit in the hot stadium, like something refreshing.
Absolutely, yes.
But it's a partnership we're gonna nurture and keep growing over the years. And very excited about that.
Well, what about future growth? So you've talked about the ideas that Neil and Eva have for what they've already been doing. I think this partnership with UT is a big one there. But do they have plans for any kinds of future endeavors or growth or adding on or anything like that here?
Oh, absolutely. Like we want they have a vision to be a world-class winery for Flat Creek. So there's a lot of room to grow on that point. But starting with distribution, going statewide, nationwide, and all of that. Then we are looking to get an hotel on property eventually. Okay. It's a very beginning of that project. We are still looking around to find the right partnership.
Okay.
And start planting more vines as well. Okay. And maybe buying more land and planting more vines. And all of that to grow parallel to the distribution and everything. Yeah.
Right. So just keep ramping that up.
Just keep ramping that up. There. Yeah. And also they have huge standards for the quality of the wine. So, and they gave me the freedom to do what I want in the cellar. And we're really trying to push quality, and keep proving people wrong about Texas wine, especially Texans, And there's definitely opportunities there. And I think we're on a good way to reach those goals.
Cool. You're primed for success, I think, with what you've done.
Yeah. I hope so.
Well, there's a lot of places that people can go to drink wine in Texas. So what is it about Flat Creek that really sets this place apart that my listeners or watchers would say, man, I've got to move that up on my list. I got to get there as soon as I can.
Well, first I would encourage everyone to go taste them all. Okay. Because I think the whole of Texas wineries have been doing over the last 20 years has been outstanding. So even if you had like a bad experience at some point, just give them another shot because the quality of everyone has went through the roof.
Constantly evolving,
constantly getting better. What makes us special, I think, is our vines were planted, our estate grapes, and how unique the land look around here. It's like a bubble of quiet and nature. And I bring my French style of winemaking to the Texas. I think I create wines that are very easy pleasing under this kind of weather. Very adapted to Texas wine. And I may be the only one to use some of those techniques. So everyone does something different in Texas. I have a very strong French influence into my Texas wine. So if you like old world wines, come check us out because we make old world style with Texas fruit.
Okay.
And all of that is from me, but it's also from the grapes, from the way they were planted, from the terroir that is so unique to us.
Yeah.
Also, this side of Lake Travis is a bit of an unknown to many people. There's so many beautiful parks around here. If you like camping, if you like the lake, it's so pretty out here. And it's just an hour drive from Austin, barely. And it's quite an unknown little spot in Texas. So if you want to come and relax, and if you don't want to get into the hustle of the hill country, like going winery hopping and making a marathon of wine drinking, if you want to take your time, hang out, bring your family, take time to have a nice glass of wine, take time to talk, take time to hang, not feeling pressure to move, no one will be dragging chairs around you. Out here, I think it's something very unique, and especially if you have people that come from out of the state, that you want to show them what Texas can be. Like that's also Texas. Yeah, bring them over. We'd love to have you.
amazing Texas wines in a beautiful destination. What more could you ask for? Flat Creek Estate is an amazing Texas wine destination, and you need to go check it out if you haven't been yet. And if you have checked it out before, you need to go back. Now, as always, make sure you check out their website before you go. It's www.flatcreekestate.com. And on their thorough website, you're going to find a lot more information about their team. You can read more about their bios, things like that, things about the facilities that they have, all these great amenities and things that we've mentioned in the podcast so far. And while you're there, there's a place for you to make reservations if you want to do that before you go. You can also check out their event calendar to find out some of the great events and fun things they have going on at the winery itself. You'll be able to shop for those wines so you can get information on them. You can put them in your cart and have them shipped directly to you if you can't get to the winery itself, or if you just ran out and you need to get a little more after your visit. And you can also find out more information about the wine club that Olivier talked about in the interview and sign up for it as well if that's something you'd like to do. And don't forget, when you go to see them, make sure you tell them you heard about them on this podcast, Texas Under Vine. So after we wrapped up the interview, Olivier led me down to the tasting room to take me through a sampling of many of those amazing wines that they're producing and providing there at Flat Creek Estate. Now, I especially enjoyed tasting some of the wines that were crafted by Olivier, some of those whites and the Rosé, but the reds, which were crafted before his time, were still really good. And I can't wait in the next couple of years to try some of those of his reds that are currently aging and not yet quite ready for release. Now, after I was done and the time came for me to pick what was my favorite, you know, I've always got to pick the one that was my favorite for my wine library for this episode. I decided to lean into one of those great wines that Olivier crafted. This was a crisp and refreshing white wine. It's one they're actually famous for. It's their 2023 Palomino. So this is a beautiful, beautiful white wine. It is a blend of Pinot Grigio, Muscat Blanc, and Pinot Blanc. It had great acidity, very refreshing, a lot of lemon on the nose when you first pour this wine and you sniff it a little bit before you drink it. By the way, wine drinkers, make sure you always smell the wine before you drink it. It does so much for your olfactory to get those aromas in there to what you taste. A lot of what we taste is based on what we smell. So I always like to get a good sniff on it before I actually drink it, and lots of great lemon notes on this wine. Now, the palate was equally as good when I actually finally took a drink of it. It was actually, you could get those great notes of lemon, some pear on the palate. I even noticed towards the end, towards what we call the finish of the wine, towards the end, I was tasting some tropical notes, like even maybe some hints of pineapple on the wine itself. Very delicious wine. It's a great, especially summer type sipper during the heat, as well as it would pair with a lot of great dishes, lighter dishes, things like that. This would go really well with. So make sure to taste the Palomino and get a bottle for yourself when you go to visit them. Now, like a golf disc soaring in the breeze, it's time for me to float on and fly to other great Texas wine destinations so I can bring you all the good info on those as well. Before I go, though, I have a special request of you, my listeners and watchers. This podcast isn't free for me to produce. I have mentioned in the past some needs that I have, some computer needs and things like that. So I do have a way that you could support the podcast if you're interested. If you're enjoying the content, then please think about maybe subscribing to the podcast. I have a Patreon that you can find if you go to my website, www.texasundervine.com. Scroll to the very top of the page. You'll see a link there that says Become a Patron. It will give you two options. One is to make a one-time donation. If you just want to give a one-time donation, I would appreciate that. It definitely helps towards my costs. And then there's also the recurring option through Patreon. Now, the recurring option through Patreon actually gives you some bonuses that regular listeners don't get. So depending upon the tier you choose to subscribe at, and it starts really low as $3 to $5 a month, you can get things like behind the scenes photos of the wineries when I go. You can get sneak previews of where I'm going next. And then for one level, I also offer a video tour of the winery. So before I leave the winery, when I go to visit, I do a video walkthrough with my phone of the winery itself, so you can get an idea of what it's like before you go to visit. So those things aren't available to the regular podcast subscribers and watchers. So if you're interested in subscribing to the Patreon and helping me with that, I would really appreciate it. All those things do go to help my expenses. Special shout out to all my current Patreon subscribers. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for helping me cover things like my hosting costs and things like that. As I get ready to travel further around the state, and I go to different destinations that aren't just in the Hill Country area, I do have a lot of travel costs that I'm trying to get paid for and covered. So any help that you could provide would be appreciated. Thank you to all of my listeners. Thank you for just watching and listening first. But if you choose to subscribe and support the podcast, a special thanks and a special part of my heart goes to you. Thank you. And for those of you that are watching this episode on my YouTube channel, a special shout out to you. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe, and go down below the episode a little bit and leave me a comment on the episode. If you've been to Flat Creek Estate before, tell me what's your favorite thing about this particular location. But if you haven't been yet, and now you're getting excited too because of watching this episode, make sure to leave a comment telling me what are you most looking forward to seeing or trying or doing whenever you go. And with that, my time is up. So don't forget, subscribe to the podcast and follow my socials to be notified anytime a new episode is released. And until then, happy trails and bottoms up, y'all.
Thanks for listening to Texas Under Vine. We strive to provide you with the best information about wine businesses all over Texas. Be sure to check out our website at texasundervine.com and follow us on our socials at texasundervine to stay up on all the upcoming episodes. Please email us with any suggestions or feedback. Also, contact us if you're interested in donating, sponsoring, or advertising on the podcast, just to help us cover our expenses and bring even more great info to you in future episodes. Above all, travel safely, and most especially, drink responsibly.
Howdy, Vine Trippers. Before we go, I wanted to direct you to my website, www.texasundervine, because there you're going to find a whole host of things. Besides access to the audio versions and the video versions of the podcast, you can also get those on any podcast provider, and then the video on YouTube. But there you're going to find a couple of things. Did you know that I actually sold some Texas Under Vine merchandise? I only have a handful of items available, about 5 different things, but they are up on my store. So if you go to the website, texasundervine.com, and go to the top, you're going to see a link for the merchandise store, and there you can get your own Texas Under Vine swag to proudly show all of your friends that you support the Texas wine industry, and you can get them started on and hooked on the podcast as well, so they can go visit even more of these great wine destinations. But in addition to the store, I also have a Patreon for my subscribers, people that support this show. I do this all out of a work of love from my heart. I do not make any money on this podcast. I'm actually in the red because I support it all out of my own pocket as a teacher. And it's mainly because I love wine and I love the Texas wine industry. So if you're willing to help me do that and you'd like to see more of these great episodes, hear more from these amazing winemakers, learn more about some fun destinations for you to go and visit on your own, I would appreciate if you would be willing to subscribe to my Patreon. So at the top of my website page, again, you'll find a Become a Patron link. And there you can get all the information about becoming a subscriber to the podcast here as a Patreon subscriber. It only costs a few dollars a month if you're willing to commit that. And there are various levels that you can commit to that each give you behind the scenes benefits that you don't get. And I do have some new things in the pipeline coming down soon. So you want to get on that sooner than later. But right now you can get things like behind the scenes photos at different wineries. You can get things like at one level, you'll get a video walkthrough of the winery. So for every episode, I will post a video walkthrough of me taking you through the winery itself so you can see what it's like before you go. And then at one level, you can even find out before everyone else where I'm headed the next week on the show as it comes out. So you'll know before everyone else. You get a sneak peek. So there's just different levels of benefits, and they all cost a different amount. And as you subscribe, you become the heart of this podcast. You really are what helps me succeed. You are my community and my people. And thank you so much for those that do subscribe. So if you're interested in joining Patreon, check the Become a Patron link at the top of the website. So again, the website is www.texasundervine.com. You can also go to all of my socials. I'm at Texas Under Vine on almost all the social accounts. And check it out and consider sponsoring the podcast and maybe even buying some of that really cool swag on the merchandise store. Happy trails and bottoms up, fine trippers.